Welcome, everyone. My name is Tim Atkins. My pronouns are he, him, and I am proud to serve as your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Oklahoma City, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness. No matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming, we greet you with love today.
Thank you, Tim. And I'm Reverend Diana Davies. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And our chalice lighting is a little different today. It comes to us from the You, the Vote vigil that some of you I know attended Thursday night. This is Reverend Ashley Horan from she's the UUA Organizing Strategy Director.
Beloveds, this is the flame of truth, shining light on the history of both strength and struggle that brought us here. Illuminated in this light are legacies and inheritances that shape us, that chastise us, that bless us, that call us forth. In this light, we honor the goodness and the blessing of the land on which we all sit. Indigenous land, then and now, that will always resist the restraint of colonization, of theft, of exploitation with its relentless abundance. We learn from that land, unceasing teacher of the tenacity of life, longing to burst forth and thrive. In this light, we honor the lives lost and stolen. Black lives, Native lives, lives of all those who have been enslaved, displaced, exploited, constrained in the building of this nation. We hold the trauma of those generations in tender care, while giving thanks for the exquisite inheritances of resilience and resistance that are equally a part of this legacy. In this light, beloveds, we honor all those for whom this election represents life and death. Black, brown, Indigenous, queer, trans, non-binary, poor, disabled, immigrant, more. And we honor too the knowing among us that even while our lives hang in the balance, our interests are not at the table. But still, in this light, we honor and hold the hope of all those who work and organize and fight, not for a single election, but for the freedom and thriving of all people everywhere. May this light, our light, illuminate the way forward.
What a journey the last few weeks have been. After that terrible ice storm that lasted for days, many of us went for days without power. Some of us still have no electricity in our homes. And then, at the same time, Election Day came. And it felt in a way like last week's end of daylight savings time was somehow hyper-corrected with the beginning of some strange day saving time in which the day never changed. We were trapped in one interminable Tuesday, which only ended yesterday. And so, as we enter into this sacred time together, let's begin by taking a deep breath, grounding ourselves, and remembering today is Sunday, November the 8th, in the tumultuous year 2020, and we are here together on our screens, yes, but also in our spirits. Some of us are happy today, some of us are sad, Some are elated, some are afraid. Some of us just feel numb. Many of us are just tired. Whatever emotions and feelings you bring into the circle today, know that they are held with love. Our opening music is written and performed by James Underberg, who is a Master of Divinity student at Meadville Lombard.
When the ground drops out from under you and there's nothing there to hold on to, no, you're not the first to fall right through to a space of mystery, a place of questioning who you are and who you're meant to be. When you can't find home where it used to be, and your roots have faded into memory, no, you're not alone in this new reality. It's a well-trod path traveled by ancestors who came before and show the way. Throughout time, we've been pushed into the dark, called to find the light within our broken hearts and let it shine. And we can't do it on our own, gotta find our family in the unknown. And side by side we'll go by, stepping stone till the journey becomes our home. Some days it feels like searching for water in the sand. Sometimes it feels like falling with nowhere to land. Yeah, there are ups and downs that'll turn you round and round. We come back to the footprints, they're all around. And throughout time, we've been pushed into the dark, called to find the light within our broken hearts and let it shine. And we can't do it on our own, gotta find our family in the unknown. And side by side we'll go by, stepping stone till the journey becomes our home. When the walls are closing in, we find our way out through the door into a light that's so much brighter than our hearts have known before. When we heed the call to follow the voice that burns within our core, we join the ranks of seekers, wanderers, and warriors of the soul. And throughout time, we've been pushed into the dark, called to find. Throughout time, we've been pushed into the dark, called to find the light within our broken hearts and let it shine. And we can't do it on our own, gotta find our family in the unknown. And side by side we'll go by, stepping stone till the journey becomes, yes, the journey becomes our home.
So I have a story for you today. This is a selection from the book Zen Socks by John Muth, published by Scholastic. One bright weekend morning, the four friends decided to go to the beach. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Little kitty. What shall we do? Asked Molly. Burying you might take a long time, said Leo. You're probably right, said Stillwater, the panda. Let's go for a walk. Stillwater, look at the starfish, said Molly. See the starfish right there? Where did they all come from? Asked Leo. Starfish, what are you doing here? Asked Molly. There are so many, said Stillwater, and the tide is going out. What will happen? Asked Leo. They will dry out in the sun and perish. Molly picked up a starfish and threw it back into the ocean. That's good, Molly, said Leo. They began picking up the starfish, one by one, and throwing them back into the water. After a while, Leo said, there are too many. This won't make a difference. Molly picked up another starfish and threw it back into the ocean. It made a difference to him, she said. 3 of the 4 friends were very tired. The sun was going down. The beach had no more stars. Wow, said Leo. We did it. Molly smiled. Stillwater, she said, look up. Stars. The end. What I love about that telling of the starfish story is that, yes, it does make all the difference in the world to the one starfish thrown back into the sea. But they didn't stop there. They kept going until they were able to save all the starfish working together. So now I'd like to invite Michael Kay to lead us in our offering. Michael?
Hello, I'm Michael Kay. I'm a member of your board of trustees, and I'm also on the Lifespan Religious Exploration team. Every Sunday, we take an offering. All the cash and designated checks from that offering go directly to external nonprofit organizations doing good work in our community, our Change for Change partners. This month, our Change for Change partner is Free to Live Animal Sanctuary. Free to Live is a nonprofit sanctuary for stray, abandoned, mistreated dogs and cats. It is the largest no-kill sanctuary in Oklahoma. While we listen to the offertory, you may wish to make a donation to our Change for Change partner using a credit card on our website. Or this could be a good time to find your checkbook, write out a check, and put it aside to First Unitarian tomorrow morning. Let today's offering reflect our highest aspirations for the work of this church in the world. Oh goodness, was I muted?
No, you're good. We heard you.
Oh, phew. I was like, oh gosh.
When holding your breath is safer than breathing, when letting go is braver than keeping, when innocent words turn to lies, and you can't hide by closing your eyes, when pain is all that that they offer, like a kiss from the lips of a monster. You know the famine so well, but never met the feast. When home is the belly of a beast. The ocean is wild and over your head, and the boat beneath you is sinking. Don't need room for your bags, hope is all that you have. So say the Lord's Prayer twice, hold your babies tight. Surely someone will reach out a hand and show you a safe place to land. Oh, imagine yourself in a building, up in flames, being told to stand still. The windows wide open, this leap is on faith. You don't know who will catch you, but maybe somebody will. The ocean is wild and over your head, and the boat beneath you is sinking. Don't need room for your bags, hope is all that you have. So say the Lord's Prayer twice, hold your babies tight. Surely someone will reach out a hand and show you a safe place to land. Be the hand of a hopeful stranger, little scared but you're strong enough. Be the light in the dark of the danger when the sun comes up. Be the hand of a hopeful stranger, little scared but you're strong enough. Be the light in the dark of this danger till the sun comes up. Be the hand of a hopeful stranger, a little scared but you're strong enough. Be the light in the dark of the danger till the sun comes up. 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 Till the sun comes up.
Hi, everyone. As you might imagine, the sermon for today was changing as the news was changing. And we had a few last minute revisions. So I'm just scanning to see if Zell, our readers, if Zell and Lois are available to, are on deck to be able to help me out with some readings. I tell you what, I will go ahead with them, and I'll call on those folks, and if they want to, they're welcome to jump in and do a reading, and if not, I'll go ahead and do it myself. I want to start though by playing a short video for you.
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is a vindication for a lot people who have really suffered. You know, I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. There's a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know. And you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you. And you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters. You know, I just want my sons to look at this. Look at this. You know, it's easy to do it the cheap way and get away with stuff, but it comes back around. It comes back around, and this is a good day for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost. For them, it's not a good day, but for a whole lot of people, it's a good day.
So Zell and Lois were all set to do readings. But we've been having some little changes at the last minute. I want to thank both of you for being on deck. I think I'll just go ahead and do the readings myself since there's so many moving pieces. But thank you both so much for being at the ready. I really appreciate it. Well, by now, most of us have seen that clip from yesterday morning, just as CNN was calling the presidential election for Joe Biden. For me, it's one of the most viscerally wrenching illustrations of what this election has meant for so many. Not just a partisan wrestling match, but a life or death battle. And this is what makes this election so different from ones in the past. And this is why, as a minister who serves a congregation and a community that encompasses people of many different beliefs, backgrounds, identities, and political affiliations, as a UU who affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person, including Trump supporters, I believe it is appropriate to celebrate the victory of Biden over Trump. Along with the reasons Van Jones noted, this victory represents a chance to breathe for all those marginalized people who have been frightened for their rights, their families, and their lives. At a minimum, it represents some reprieve from the knee that has been crushing their necks. People on the left and the right may not have gotten what they really wanted and fought for, but we all have a chance to take a breath, to imagine a potentially better future again, instead of constantly rushing to fill the holes in the dam of a crumbling democracy. What not everyone may realize about this now viral video is that Van Jones's comments were intended as a direct reference to comments he made 4 years ago when he talked about the Trump victory as, quote, white lash against a changing country, unquote. At that time, he said, quote, it's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. You have this outcome. You have people putting children to bed tonight and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid, wondering, how do I explain this to my children? Unquote. In the same year that Jones made these remarks, poet Maggie Smith wrote Good Bones, which some claim to be the poem of 2016. In this poem, she writes, "The world is at least 50% terrible." And that's a conservative estimate. I remember feeling just that way in 2016. I remember being shocked, horrified that racism and sexism were still so dominant in our society. My white privilege and other forms of privilege had shielded me from seeing so much ugliness for a long time. It was a rude awakening that went on for 4 years, like a terrible alarm clock in a motel room at 4 a.m., squawking like a fire alarm, or playing some horrific AM station that you just can't figure out how to turn off. But this year's election was going to be very different. No one could claim ignorance. Trump was a known entity. We had seen children torn from their parents at the border, hundreds of them potentially lost forever, watched our reputation in the world plummet, heard neo-Nazis described as, quote, fine people, heard a president saying things about women, veterans, and people with disabilities that no decent person would ever say, watched jobs lost. And there were those 230,000 COVID deaths in the United States and counting. 4 years after the shock of 2016, I had hope that not just most, but the vast majority of the American people would be ready for change. But that's not what happened. More people voted than ever before in US history, but nearly half of those, over 70 million people as of this morning, voted for more of the same. More than half of white voters did. Now, polls and surveys are, of course, woefully problematic. But some studies are showing that for white women in particular, more percentage-wise may have supported Trump this time around than supported him in 2016. How can this be? I don't know. And I won't try to guess. But one thing that's been helping me to make some sense of this is trauma specialist Resmaa Menakem's wonderful book, My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. Some of us have been gathering on Saturdays for a while now to talk about that book. In this book, Menakem points out that our country still bears the trauma of its long history, including hundreds of years of colonialism, attempted genocide, and slavery, and many decades of lynchings, attended by thousands of the, quote, nicest and, quote, most upstanding white folks bringing picnics and their children and taking pictures of burning Black bodies for holiday postcards. Things like that don't just go away in a few years. Unless they're addressed head on, the trauma gets passed on from generation to generation, and stories and techniques are created to deny all the pain and the guilt, and to place them onto marginalized and oppressed others. And it all begins to look like culture, even like something great that is threatened by change. But if racial trauma and white supremacy are so entrenched in this country, if many white voters, half to more than half, could see what has happened over the past 4 years and sincerely want more of the same, then is the whole situation hopeless? Well, here's the scandalous thing I'm going to say about that. Maybe. And maybe it's time white folks acted on that. Reverend Elena Rose Vera is the executive director of Trans Lifeline, an organization that provides trans community support for trans people in crisis. And at an event where she was speaking to an audience of activists who were still new to unfair fights, long odds, and stacked decks, she said, quote, "Nothing is over. Take a breath. Take a minute. Feel your feelings. And then get back in the fight. The fight is harder, but the fight is the same. And it needs you, and it needs me, it needs us. The stakes could not be higher, and the world we hope for doesn't happen if we don't make it. We fight the fights that need fighting, not just the fights we're sure we can win. We do what needs doing, and we make a way out of no way. We get miracles by being each other's miracles. We get chances by making chances. We get hope by doing the work of hope." Unquote. There is so much in this quote that is worth lifting up, but the main thing I want to highlight is how she describes hope. It's not that hope leads people to act for justice. Hope specifically does not pre-exist the work of justice. She says, quote, "We get hope by doing the work of hope." Well, this is something that oppressed and marginalized people, Black, LGBTQIA+, Latinx, immigrant, poor people, people with disabilities, and so many others have known forever. If you wait for hope to inspire you to act, you might as well give up. When you are an enslaved person or a detained immigrant whose family has been lost in the system, or when your basic humanity or right to your own identity is legally denied, you can't just wait for a lucky break or a miracle, because they will never come. You must fight for the sake of fighting, act for the sake of acting, even if you know with every bone in your body that the battle is already lost, that nothing can possibly change in your lifetime. You act not out of self-preservation, but out of love, because maybe, just maybe, your actions will lead to someone else having a chance someday. Like John Lewis, you may die before your dream is fulfilled, but you do the work anyway. Or like Stacey Abrams and other Black women leaders of the Voters' Rights Network in Georgia, regardless of what anyone tells you about your chances for success, you just keep moving on, making a way out of no way. After the 2008 election, I fear that many white liberals, myself included, fell under the spell of hope. Having our first Black president must have meant that we were in a post-racial world, that those troubles were behind us. And so we became lax and a little self-satisfied. And even in this most recent election, Didn't many of us hope that most people had changed after 4 years? When it comes to people of the dominant culture, people who carry various forms of privilege, hope can be an impediment to progress. If we think of it as something that comes from outside, as something that inspires us to act, because when hope runs out, it can lead us to abandon the fight. Be honest. How many times have you been inspired by an idea, but ended up not supporting it or not fighting for it because it didn't seem reasonable? Because there was no hope it could succeed in your lifetime. I know I can think of a few examples. UU ethicist Sharon Welch describes this as an ethic of control. We want to choose the social justice battles that we can reasonably win. Anything else feels somehow immature or irresponsible. But Professor Welch suggests that we replace this ethic of control with an ethic of risk, in which our mantra becomes, quote, "What improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today?" Unquote. Christian social ethicist Miguel de la Torre has pointed out one other danger of hope. Hope is a lovely, clean idea, kind of like the Christian concept of the Holy Spirit. It has no body, it's beautiful and abstract, but the real work of revolutionary justice, especially for those who live at the intersections of oppression, the truly hopeless, is often dirty, embodied, illegal, even indecent. Think about the uprising led by trans women of color at the Stonewall Inn, or the simultaneously outrageous and effective Stop the Church and Day of Desperation actions of ACT UP, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. On this Sunday, after what feels like a very long Tuesday, when we have the option of accepting a victory and letting ourselves feel once again the warm shimmering of hope, it is good to celebrate and relax for a while. But we need to be careful of having hope, the kind of hope that comes to us without any work on our part. Instead, we can embrace hopelessness and aspire to follow an indecent ethic of risk, asking ourselves every day, what improbable task with which unpredictable results shall we undertake today? Remembering these words from Reverend Vera, fight the fights that need fighting. Not just the fights we're sure we can win. Do what needs doing. Make a way out of no way. Get miracles by being each other's miracles. Get chances by making chances. Get hope by doing the work of hope. Or, in the words of the great American poet, Gwendolyn Brooks, quote, say to them, say to the downkeepers, the sun slappers, the self-soilers, the harmony hushers, even if you are not ready for day, it cannot always be night. You will be right, for that is the hard home run. Live not for battles won. Live not for the end of the song. Live in the along. Would you please join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation? Spirit of justice, Spirit of mercy, today we remember that while we watched people all over the country yesterday and this morning spilling into the streets to celebrate the outcome of the election, about half of our fellow citizens are not feeling that joy today. Some may even be experiencing emotions like despair, fear, and anger. And while we may not understand the reasons behind one another's emotions, may we honor the emotions themselves as essentially human. May we do the work of healing so that despair, fear, and anger may be redeemed by joy, trust, and collaboration. Spirit of justice, Spirit of mercy, besides being the Sunday after Election Day, this is the Sunday before Veterans Day. And so it is right to take this time to thank veterans everywhere who have given of themselves for something larger than themselves. Both the medal-adorned public heroes who found themselves in hopeless situations but did the impossible anyway, and those who have simply done the daily work of living up to their commitments and ideals, who have treated others, even their declared enemies, with the respect and dignity each person is due. We honor all those who remind us through their own example what honor is. Spirit of justice, Spirit of mercy, today we remember that not only those who serve in the military serve this country, so do the election board officials and the volunteer poll workers who do the work of helping to preserve our most sacred duty of voting. This year in particular, we remember the poll workers, many of them in the high-risk categories for COVID-19, who spent countless hours maintaining protocols, sanitizing voting booths, and dealing with all the other complications of voting in the middle of a deadly pandemic. And we honor all those who have been counting and who will continue to count every ballot, even when they are confronted with angry crowds screaming at them to stop. Our democracy depends on the contributions of poll workers like these, and to them and for them, we offer gratitude. Spirit of justice, Spirit of mercy. On this day, we are particularly grateful to see a woman of color, the child of immigrants, rise to the position of Vice President-elect. While we know this doesn't mean that all glass ceilings have been broken everywhere or that white supremacy has been defeated, any more than the election of our first Black president meant that we had entered a post-racist utopia, it is still a thing to celebrate. And as Senator Harris noted in her speech last night, we owe our thanks to the tireless work of those who made a way out of no way. All those who fought for the voting rights of women, Black people, Indigenous people, people with disabilities, all those who struggled so that every voice could be heard. We especially lift up the names of Black women justice warriors like Mary Church Terrell, Ida B. Wells, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Diane Nash, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Clara Luper. For all these, for so many more who have devoted their lives to the empowerment of others, we are grateful. And now, in a moment of silence, let us listen to the joys and the sorrows that fill our hearts. Blessed be. Amen. Our closing hymn, our closing song today is We Shall Overcome, Love Will Rise by Nemo Patel. I thought for a minute of just playing this song on loop for the entire service today. I came close to it. It's a wonderful piece.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering minds, creating anger, fear, and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger, and violence clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, on this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here. Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? We already know the way, so let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now.
I will carry on. I will carry on. I will carry on. I will carry on. After we're gone, the roots of the tree we plant will be strong.
Yeah, yeah, come on. Yep. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Makes me wanna sing now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna longer. We shall overcome. Every time I question them, I get getting stronger. We shall overcome. Make a change, we gotta push much farther. Cause I'm feeling it deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I do believe. I do believe. I do believe. We shall overcome someday. Yeah. Come on, put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, cause we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way. We shall overcome some. We pray for love to lead the way.
And at this point, we extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of love and community which burns in our hearts. I leave you with this blessing from the Pueblo people. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree which stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to life, even when it is easier letting go. Hold on to my hand, even when I have gone away from you. In a minute, I'm going to play a postlude, some music for going forth. This is River by Gene McDaniels and Roberta Flack, performed by Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, Director of Worship and Music at First UU Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan. That music will send us off today. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that we will have our virtual coffee hour. Just give me a couple of minutes to get some actual coffee and come back, and I'll open up the meeting. I'm sure many people would like a chance to process and talk today, so we welcome you to that. Blessings on everyone. Blessings be. Get some rest. Take care of yourselves. Oh yeah, and dance. Moving around is really good after you've been stressed.
There's a river somewhere that flows through the lives of everyone, and it flows through the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. There's a star in the sky that brightens the lives of everyone, and it and the meadows of time. Yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. 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 Yes, I do. There's a star in your eye that brightens the lives of everyone. And it brightens the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. Yes, it is a sweet song of love that sweetens the lives of everyone. And it sweetens the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. Yes, yes, it do. And there's a voice from the past that speaks through the lives of everyone, the lives of everyone. And it speaks through the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. There's a smile in your eyes that shines through the lives of everyone. And it shines through the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. Yes, it do. Yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. Yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. Oh, yes, it do. 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 Yes, it do. Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, oh, yes, you do. Yes, yes, oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. 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 Yes, there's a river somewhere. Yes, it is that flows through the light. Yes, it is a river somewhere. And it flows through the mountains and the valleys and the meadows of time. Yes, it flows.